Shortly before dawn on 25 June 1950, 8 divisions of the North Korean People's Army crossed the 38th parallel with combined forces of infantry and tanks behind artillery fire and invade the Republic of Korea. The ROK has no tanks, anti-tank weapons, or heavy artillery. The South Koreans commit their forces in a piecemeal fashion and are routed in a few days. On 27 June, Seoul is evacuated with some of the government. The following morning at 0200, the ROK detonates explosives on the Hanang Bridge across the Han River in an attempt to stop the KPA. The bridge is destroyed while 4,000 refugees are crossing it, killing hundreds of lives and trapping many ROK units north of the river. In spite of such desperate escape measures, the South Korean capital city of Seoul is captured. Some South Korean National Assemblymen remain in the capital city when it falls, and 48 subsequently pledge allegiance to the North. In 5 days, the ROK, which had 95,000 troops on 25 June, is down to less than 22,000 troops. On 25 June, the United Nations Security Council unanimously condemned the armed attack on the Republic of South Korea by forces from North Korea, with Resolution 82 calling for the immediate cessation of hostilities and for the authorities in North Korea to withdraw forthwith their armed forces to the 38th parallel. The Soviet Union, a veto-wielding power having boycotted council meetings since January 1950, protests Taiwan's occupation of China's permanent seat. The Security Council, on 27 June, publishes Resolution 83 recommending member states provide military assistance to the ROK. That same day, President Harry Truman orders U.S. air and sea forces to help the ROK. The Soviet Union challenges the legitimacy of the war for several reasons. The ROK intelligence upon which Resolution 83 is based comes from U.S. intelligence. North Korea is not invited as a sitting temporary member of the UN, which violates UN Charter Article 32, and the fighting is beyond the Charter scope because in the initial North-South border fighting is classed as a civil war. Due to the Soviet Union boycotting the Security Council, some legal scholars propose that deciding upon this type of action requires a unanimous vote of all 5 permanent members. Within days of the invasion, masses of ROK soldiers of dubious loyalty to the regime are retreating southwards or defecting en masse to the KPA. On 30 June, Truman orders a naval blockade of the Korean coast and authorizes the sending of U.S. ground troops to Korea. 2 days later, U.S. Army General Douglas MacArthur, the Commander-in-Chief Far East, formally requests that a Marine Regimental Combat Team deploy to the Far East. Truman later explains that he believes fighting the invasion is essential to the containment of communism as outlined in the National Security Council Report 68. Communism was acting in Korea just as Hitler, Mussolini, and the Japanese had 10, 15, and 20 years earlier. I felt certain that if South Korea was allowed to fall, communist leaders would be emboldened to override nations closer to our own shores. If the communists were permitted to force their way into the Republic of Korea without opposition from the 5 world leaders, no small nation would have the courage to resist threat and aggression by stronger communist neighbors. As always, stay salty, stay safe, Semper Fi, and carry on, and a special one-day early birthday wish to Chesty Puller. Happy birthday, Chesty, wherever you are.